sure that it's there we go. It's
Okay.
recording. Okay. Great. People coming in. Hello, good evening. Welcome, welcome. As you come
No.
in, yes, Denise and I are twins tonight.
Yes. Was
Um,
not planned.
not planned at all. Just great minds thinking alike.
I
Yeah,
think our glasses are even similar.
are these your like computer glasses? These are my,
Yeah, these are my, yeah,
your like
because I
near
can't
work.
see anything anymore.
And these are different from my walk around glasses, which are different from my like near reading.
Yep.
It's a lot of glasses to keep track of.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Ooh, I see a note taker. I am gonna ask whoever's note taker that is to, well, actually, I'm gonna remove you. I am sorry to tell you. Yeah, we've had a problem with, okay. Just this is a good little life lesson for us as we do these webinars. Note
Hmm.
takers sneaking into webinars, recording content, and then posting it online under somebody else. Like it's not even
Yeah.
necessarily for credit, but just without permission. So
Right.
I am kicking a note taker out. Apologies. That's what this is for. That's what we're going to talk about. These are the best
Yeah.
note takers
Right.
that you can have. So.
Note cards.
Exactly. Note cards.
Yeah.
I know. I know. I miss note cards. It's like the best. Okay, wait, there is a chat. Oh, you guys can chat? I thought I turned it off. Oh my
No
gosh.
talking.
Well, that's okay. I will try to figure it out because we also find that the chat's super distracting. I'll leave it on for another minute and then I'll figure it out. I,
Yeah, and if it stays on, just know that we won't probably be looking at it right now, and then maybe we look at it later.
exactly. That's a great
Yeah.
point. And yeah, if somebody's asking how would I know it was me if I was the AI note taker? Well, I uninvited them. So if you're still here, it wasn't you. Um, yeah. And I think, yeah, I'm just gonna check my tools. Great. Okay. It's not, I think what I might do, let's go ahead and get started. I will leave the chat up momentarily until I can figure out how to turn it off. What we might do is we could also just leave it on and ask people
Yeah.
to use it. Yeah, I think we're taking from our friend Jared Cooney Horvath's page that multitasking is the worst thing you can do for learning, and we hope you're here to learn. So let's use the chat minimally, see what happens. If it gets crazy, I might just mute it. But I also am not sure how to turn it off in this.
I
So
just I just won't be responding to it because I can't read. I don't know how people do that. They read the questions as they're talking. I
it's very
can't. Sorry.
distracting. Yeah, sometimes I have to put like a post-it note up over it. So, yeah, but you could do, I think we left the reactions on too.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's making a good point.
What'd they say?
They're only texting us.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you for letting us know. So never mind. I did do it right. I just
Okay.
forgot that
Oh,
I can
good.
get
Okay.
messages.
Oh, it's not coming up. Okay.
Yeah, so that's great. Actually, if our sound goes out or somebody loses, I don't know, whatever
Yeah.
video, let us know in the directly. Not going to worry about it. All right, Denise, let's get started.
All
Um,
right.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Emily Cherkin. I'm the Screentime Consultant, First Fish Chronicles Substack writer, author, teacher, parent, and very much fighting the good fight with you all here. And I am very honored tonight to be including my friend and colleague in this webinar, my friend Denise Champney, who I've
I
never met in person, and we will make
I
that
know.
happen
We
at
have to we
some
have to make
point.
that happen this year.
I think that's
And
a
we have
goal.
to undo big tech in schools and meet in person.
Just
Big
those,
goals.
that's only
That's
two
it.
things. That's it.
Yes.
That's an easy checklist.
We can do it. Um,
Exactly. So, Denise, why don't you introduce yourself? I think what I'm going to do is turn this over. Oh, I was going to do one introductory sentence, which was just that, like, we talk a lot about screens in education. We talk about those, like, smartphones and social media and kids on video games, and why that's all bad, or a lot of that's really bad. But what we don't often look at is, like, what's the impact on the social life, social skills in the real world because screens are taking time and attention and skills away from children. So that's what we're going to focus on tonight. Did I summarize that?
Perfectly.
High level.
Exactly.
All right. So Denise, I'm going to let you kick it off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And then I'm going to mute just so there's no back sound, but I will click on and off if I have a question or want to add two
Okay,
cents. All right.
great.
Go for it.
All right. So just a little bit about me. I'm a speech and language pathologist, and I've worked in the public school setting for about 25 years now. So I have seen the transition from schools, what they looked like before to what they look like now, and the changes it's had on students, on learning, and on social skills. So as a speech therapist, part of my practice is helping support and develop social skills in students. And so I've worked with kids in preschool all the way up through the end of high school. And I also have a small private practice where I primarily focus on social skills training and developing for kids all ages through adults. So I see the harms that these screens have had on social skill development, and I just feel like Emily said, it hasn't really been addressed as to why. So hopefully, I can take my background and what I focus on and kind of show how the screens are impeding those skills. So I thought this is a great night to show this meme. This was created by Joanna Houston from the Smart, I always say this wrong, Smartphone Free Childhood. I always want to switch the words, switch the words. Anyway, she created this great meme with the Breakfast Club. So imagine if, or what if 42 years ago, a brain, an athlete, a princess, a basket case, and a criminal showed up to their Saturday detention at Shermer High School with an iPhone, earbuds, and a Chromebook. Would they have connected at all? I would say no. Judging by how I see kids interact from different social groups, they would not have interacted. They would have sat there on their devices, and all the skills and everything that they went through as that coming of age story of getting to know people and recognizing people as being different than what you thought they might be would never have happened. And so that story took place Saturday, March 24th, tomorrow, 42 years ago. So I want to start off with that because I think it's important to kind of hold in the back of your brain as we talk about screens and reflect upon what life was like before these screens kind of invaded and have taken over. So with that, I want to fast forward to 2026 and these images here and talk about the amount of time kids are spending on screens. And so looking at the Common Sense Media Survey information, I kind of combined two figures. The one on the figure on the right from Common Sense is from 2021. And so those hours are crazy, but that's 5 years ago. I would have to think they're even higher now. So that shows you more of the tweens and teens, the amount of time they're spending looking at a screen. And then you have the younger kids, kids 8 and under. That's a more recent survey that was completed, and that's from 2024. So you can see that kids are spending a lot of time staring at screens. It's kind of scary when we think about, how much time. I think back to I don't know, have you ever heard, those things where they say you spend like 5 years of your life waiting in line or something like that. Imagine what are they going to be saying about these, say, 20-year-olds now when they're 40? They've spent 20 years of their life looking at a screen. Like that's just, it's really disturbing. And then when you look at these surveys as well, they're looking at recreational screen time. They're not taking into account the educational piece. So, or doing homework. They don't consider homework screen time or what's happening during the school day. And so I would gather that tweens and teens, if, to be conservative, if they're spending 6.5 hours in school, that they're probably on their devices in school probably 3 hours of that day. And I think it's a lot more than that. I'm going to be very conservative, but if we add 3 hours onto those totals of screen times, that's like 12 hours. It's only 24 hours in a day, and some students may be on their screens 12 hours of that. And then when you think about the kids, that's parent reporting. And so A number of 5 to 8 year olds, again, are in school and have to use screens as part of their schools. I mean, we're giving computers to kids in kindergarten or iPads. And the 2 to 4 year olds, are they in daycares or preschools where screens are being used and parents aren't aware? So I just personally think that these numbers are probably a bit higher than what they're showing. And so just to point out this image of from YouTube. So YouTube and Common Sense Media, a kind of, you would think that they wouldn't be friends, they'd be foes. But unbeknownst to a lot of people, back in this image comes from a trial that's going on right now in California with Meta and Google, and the discoveries, the emails from YouTube they were sending around. This comes from 2013. So they had this vision. Imagine a world where parents ask, why aren't you watching more YouTube? Or school administrators shift their budgets from textbooks to YouTube subscriptions. Like, awful, right? So this was in 2013. And this was because they were trying to figure out why their viewership was declining during Monday through Friday. They were losing viewers. And that's not good for their profits. So they were trying to figure out ways to get more viewers, more screen time. And how were they going to do that? They connected with Common Sense Media and the National PTA, and they tried to get parents to feel good about their product, you know, and say that it's educational, which there is no research that shows watching a YouTube video translates to learning a skill. And they bought their way in to get the trust of parents through these organizations. And like down at the bottom, you can see that Common Sense Media is even recommending YouTube channels to boost learning. It doesn't. It's infuriating. So anyway, that's the screen time, and it's alarming. And it is all by design. So, how does this impact children's screen time? So, I'm going to bring it back to the beginning with the healthy development in babies. And what they need is responsive face-to-face interactions. And they need to be able to move freely and use all of their senses to learn and develop. I mean, we all know that the first few years of life, there's a lot of cognitive brain development going on. And all of these experiences help develop those neural pathways and face to face responsive, and that's responsive back and forth, face to face connections are huge for the brain development for children. And they need to be able to use all their senses to learn, not watching on a screen. They need to touch, feel, smell, and put all of that together to really get a healthy foundation for later developing skills. Is this all making sense so far? Am I speaking too fast?
No, this is great. I was just going to add, it's one of the things that got me into this work in the first place was this book. I don't know if you know this, The Big Disconnect. Did you ever read this?
Oh, no, I don't think I have.
And it's Catherine Steiner Adair, and it's at this point it's out of date because the tech has changed so much. But she wrote it was all about exactly what this picture here. It was all about the importance of responsiveness and parent connection, and again,
Mhm.
Denise and I are not here to blame parents. A lot of this is about
Nope.
we don't know, and we need to know. And I mean, again,
Exactly.
this is not blaming. We just need to understand the impact this is having. And so I think it's fascinating that this is finally, like even back this again, I think this was 2011. Here we are 15 years later,
Yeah.
seeing the fallout from not doing that. She talks about like the triangulation of like when you're holding a baby, but you have a phone in your hand, like,
Oh, yeah. I
yeah,
have some of that
you're
coming
gonna
up.
get there. Great. Let's
Yeah.
keep going, keep going.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing that, that's why I showed the YouTube screen grab from their emails back in 2013. It is by design to rob our attention. It's the attention economy. That's how they make their money. If you've seen the real social dilemma, the documentary with Tristan Harris, they talk about the race to the bottom of the brainstem. So this is attacking all of us. And so we need to be aware that and we need to really know the damage and recognize too that some of the organizations that we rely on to tell us what's right aren't doing their job because they are in bed with the tech industry. They are receiving funding. Common Sense Media, like who we look to or many parents look to for advice about this, they have their own network on YouTube. That seems like a huge conflict of interest. They have common sense education on YouTube. Like, that doesn't seem to go with what they should be supporting. So we really need to take keep that in mind when we're looking at some of these, recommendations and really, know for ourselves what's truly best for kids. So going to talking about that triangulation, that joint attention. So it's our eyes. We use joint attention is, a foundational critical skill for development of later, more complex social and communication skills. So when we have a newborn, like you said, if when you're nursing or you're feeding and you're looking down, your eyes should be looking and making connection with the baby, and the baby's looking, they can see you. And so that's developing those bonds. Those strong bonds are what we, carry us through for stronger, healthy relationships later on in life. And it starts with our eyes. When we go and see babies, we don't go just like make faces at their feet. No, we look at their eyes and their face, right? We look face to face. That's what gets them to interact and engage. And then there's social referencing. As they get a little older, they use their eyes again to reference. Are you looking at me? Are you noticing me? And then we have the gestures. That point gesture is that pre skill of knowing that someone else has another thought that's different than yours. So I see a plane over there. My dad's not looking at the plane, so I need my dad to look at the plane. So I'm having a thought that's different than my dad's thought because I can see where his eyes are looking. He's not looking to where I'm looking. That's all perspective taking. And we use our eyes to do that. And it's huge. And we need to practice it over and over and over again. Just like when babies are talking, they start off babbling and then they practice and practice. You can't understand them. And then they build and their language builds. And the more they talk, the better they get at it. Same with walking. You just see those things. The social is just not as easy to measure, right? Because we do it, it happens so quickly in milliseconds, and we don't have great measurement tools for it. There are things we can look for, but there's no really great measurement tools. Like, kids should be saying 50 words by a certain age or should be walking by a certain age. So the eyes are critical for
I
development.
also, this is making me think too about the like being at the playground, and of course there's a lot of the parent shaming here about like, well, what my kids playing, they're fine. And it's this mixed thing of like overprotective parenting. Like we're told to back off, give them more free independent
Right.
play. And there is something about our own attention is sucked into the devices differently than if we were sitting on the bench reading a book, right? And
Right.
again, that is where this is important bidirectionally.
Exactly, exactly. So the screens are by design to keep us looking at the screen. Where we're reading a book, we look up, we go back, we're at the same spot where we are in our book, where we're supposed to be reading. That doesn't change. Where screens, they just keep what the algorithm keeps sending you things, that dopamine hit to keep you looking at it.
Right.
So
Right.
it's designed that way.
Mm,
And
mm.
that's true. Like, and not all screen time is the same, too, right? So,
Yeah.
like, watching a TV is different than looking at an individual mobile device by yourself. So, Jonathan Haidt was talking about this recently, and he was talking about how, like, watching TV is social because other people are around. It's not interactive. You're not like swiping at it. You're not, getting another feed in there unless you're watching YouTube. And then if I don't know, I guess that's different. But but like it's a different experience, right? Like
Yeah.
even you think about like I keep looking because there's one in my room. Like you look at it, but you can look away. It's not
Correct.
right in front of you, where that screen becomes a barrier and it's like right in front of you and your eyes are drawn to that. And it's not, it's antisocial.
Yeah. I've
It's
also been
anti
hearing too that like Netflix and other television companies are intentionally making dialogue heavy shows now because people are multitasking while they watch TV,
They
right?
repeat, they're supposedly repeating the same
Or
things.
like
Like,
plot heavy so that you don't have to visually see what's happening because you're too
right,
busy looking, which is again, we're talking about adult behavior, right? Like if
right.
our attention is that easily fractured that TV shows are
Imagine.
adapting to us. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, imagine being a child. And then
Yeah.
kids need, though, for kids to develop, they need to have that practice of that interacting with other people. So they're still developing their skills. Like we're fully developed. I mean,
Right, right.
we're still developing in a sense, but for
Yeah.
kids, it's even more critical. I was thinking, in the beginning of my school year, I always do an all about me form for my students to fill out. And one of the things is your favorite TV show. And guess what the like number one answer is?
YouTube.
Yep. And I'm like, that's not a show.
Wow, that's a really interesting cultural shift in the language too. That
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And I said, well, what about a show? And they're like, well, no, I just like to watch videos of this, or I like to look up gaming videos or figure out how to do this. I'm like, that's not a show.
and
A
it's
show
also
has a big,
a different that yes, a beginning, a middle, and an end. You were just saying,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Ugh.
So, anyways, those YouTubers, I don't know if you've ever watched the Mr. Beast. Have you ever seen the Mr. Beast show? Oh my God. I swear I'm gonna have a seizure watching it. It's like flashy and he
Yeah.
knows every 6 seconds, I think it's the dopamine hit of the attention span. And man, it's like it's
Crack.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So when you're thinking about developing these social skills and our interactions are so important, these devices are creating a barrier, whether it's the mother like feeding a newborn and looking at her screen rather than at the baby. So we don't know what like reducing those amount of times that you have you're making that eye contact. I can assume it's damaging. We typically don't do studies that we would think would cause damage. So we are not going to disrupt that
Right.
and say, like,
Who did the
is this gonna
study?
damage baby? Like, are we gonna disrupt their development by putting a barrier in between? That's probably, not ethical.
Just
Parents, yeah.
I was going to say devil's advocate, and I disagree with what I'm about to say, which is that I saw
Okay.
some pushback about this once, like, well, God forbid that people find out that, parents feed their babies at night and go back to sleep or, like while they're feeding them or whatever, which again,
Hmm.
I've been there, done that. But that isn't the same. Again, like
Right.
you being asleep or dozing while your baby's feeding is
It's
entirely different than your
it
attention being distracted, fragmented by a device.
when you're supposed to be interacting. Right.
Right. Because even
Right. When you're supposed
eyes closed, you're still listening, you're still feeling, you're sensing, you can
right.
know.
And
Yeah.
that probably isn't happening as much as people are looking at their phones
Right. Right.
during the day. Like during the day
Yeah.
when you're usually awake feeding
Yeah.
the baby. I
Yeah.
mean, I get it. You're tired and you're falling asleep, but
Right. Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, keep going. Keep going.
Yeah. And then like I think about too like the toddlers or the babies that you see at restaurants, and the parents are handing the device thinking that that's going to help them behave better. So let's give them a device, which I get. Like I've had my kids are in college now, but they were babies and toddlers and I remember, not wanting them to act out when we were in public. But when we do that, they're not getting the opportunity to observe. And so much of their play should come from what they observe and
Yeah.
practice and develop. But they're missing out on those opportunities because they're staring at a device and they're not getting to see, like if they're out at a restaurant, they're not getting to observe the natural conversation that's
Well, and
happening.
how will they ever know how to behave if they're never given an opportunity to practice what they're observing, right?
Exactly. Right.
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 Because it does work. I mean, again, like we've all had moments where your kid has a meltdown in public and it's
Hmm.
embarrassing and stressful and,
Yep.
awful. And we got through it.
Right.
And we got an
Yep.
opportunity to teach and talk about, hey, when we go to a restaurant,
This is how you
throwing
behave.
silverware is not okay. We can't go back to restaurants if that's going to happen. There's stuff.
Right. Right. And if you're going to scream and tantrum in the supermarket, I'm going to take you out of the buggy and walk you out of the store. And I'm going to leave I remember doing that once.
Yeah.
I did it once. I had to do it once with my daughter and she was having a meltdown.
Yeah.
And then the next time she started, I went, and she went, okay, no, mommy, no, mommy.
Yeah.
And
Right.
she like, so they do learn, but I get it. And then and I don't want this to be seen as there are legit some children who have difficulties and challenges
Yes.
and need to have something. I get that too. And so this isn't to shame parents. There are times that things need to be done, but just I think parents aren't aware of what it is doing to their kids because there are organizations that they're not talking strong enough about this. The
Mhm.
Academy of Pediatrics and Common Sense Media, I don't believe are, I feel like they could come across stronger with their messaging. I mean, do you
Mhm.
remember when my kids were little, I remember going to the doctors and being asked, okay, is there a computer in the bedroom or is there a TV in the bedroom? You were
Yeah.
like shamed when your kids were little. Like, you were like, no, no, I didn't do that. Did some parents do that? Sure. But for the most part, it was known that screen time was a problem, and that was television screens. And
Yep.
so you would try to limit the television screen. But
Right.
now we're handing these devices and
Yeah, we didn't
um,
carry a TV into the grocery store. I mean, we didn't
right.
have the option. Like that's it
Yeah,
isn't
that would
the
have been weird.
accessibility. Yeah. I often think about like how cool of a public art project it would be to like physically walk around carrying all of the things that our phones are, like
Oh my gosh, that would
stacks
be
of
so
books and
cool.
tons of DVDs and, like podcast hosts and just how much of
Like a
that
big
we're
camera.
carrying. Yeah, cameras, calendars, telephones,
Yep.
like, yeah.
Ugh, I know. I know. Um, all right. So, and then I love this picture in the middle, best
Yeah.
iPad apps for toddlers. None. There
Yeah.
aren't any. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
40% of 2-year-olds have their own device. And again, it's like I think back to my own childhood of having like little handheld, I don't know, like little fidget games that we had. They were like
Yeah.
they didn't have algorithms. They didn't like keep you with the dopamine hits. You got bored with it because you'd rather play with
A
other things.
fish and like the rings and the like
Yeah,
water games. I know
right.
those were really,
Right.
I
Those
still
were always
remember.
frustrating. I could never do them. But so like we have 40% of all 2-year-olds have their own device. You know,
Yeah.
some other statistics is by age 4, over half of children, 58% have their own tablet. 58%.
Yeah.
Like they don't need one. By age 8, a quarter of them have their own cell phone. And about 1 in 5 use mobile devices for emotional regulation, meal times, and to fall asleep.
Okay, let's talk about emotion regulation because this I hear this
Oh, yeah.
all the time. As you just said, it is obvious when your kid's melting down, if you hand them a phone, they will stop melting down most of
Right.
the time.
In the meantime. Yeah.
But why is this such a high risk? I mean, we know why it's bad that way, but to use it for emotion regulation, can you talk more about that? Because
Yeah, because you're not practicing the skill of, okay, how do I calm myself down? Right?
yeah,
So I'm using the screen, you're distracting. So really, you're just distracting. You're not teaching the actual skills. So you're
right.
distracting, you're entertaining, or whatever it might be, and you're not teaching the actual skill of, okay, we got to take deep
Mhm.
breaths, we got to, calm down, give them a hug, whatever it might be,
Right,
which connects the humans too,
right,
right?
right, right.
Versus, and we're just displacing it and distracting it. And then whatever is going on in the brain and the dopamine hits that it's causing, and it's just not allowing those skills to develop. It's like it's slowing them, it's
Yeah.
depressing them, and not allowing them to develop.
And we've talked about this in that previous webinar with Jared and Mike McLeod about executive function and the importance
Hmm.
of, uh, you know, why like empathy, but also like processing, not using the phones as a way to manage emotion is so important because executive function includes emotion regulation, and that emotion regulation then is how kids show up and behave in the classroom.
Oh, yep,
And you can
exactly.
talk about that a lot, I'm sure. But yeah, keep
Oh,
going.
yep.
I don't want to slow you down either.
I got some slides to go into that.
Perfect.
Um, so yeah, so all this screen. Okay, so in kind
Oh,
of talking
okay.
about Jared too,
Yep.
he said this last week in our talk, we remember what we pay attention to, right?
Mhm.
So, and that struck me because I'm like, that social attention is what we're losing, our ability to socially attend to other humans. And so if you see this pyramid here. This is from the social thinking methodology, which is something that I use in my practice. It's kind of like a cognitive behavioral approach. You're teaching the underlying social thinking skills. And their competency model talks about having social attention. It's at the bottom because it's a foundation. Without your ability to socially attend, everything else just kind of falls by the wayside and is not going to go maybe as according to plan. So we socially attend with our eyes, right?
Mhm.
But if we have this, we're not socially attending with our eyes. It's blocking that
Mm,
ability to attend. Computers block that ability for us to socially attend. And so, with that, when we attend, when we use our eyes and take what we know about people, then we interpret, but we have to practice it. These are skills we practice and we get better at. And developmentally, as we mature, we get better with our social thinking skills and our ability to socially attend and interpret other people.
mm,
So you don't expect a 5-year-old to have the same skills as a 10-year-old, right? Because you develop and you get better at it. How does that happen? Through practice.
right. So
We
it's
have to
like it's
practice it.
going back to the shopping cart and handing the phone, or even, the older child being soothed by the iPad. What's happening is they're lacking the opportunity to build the social attention on which they can then interpret. And
Hmm.
I would argue building empathy, perspective taking all comes from that, right?
Right.
And then knowing,
100%.
yeah, and then knowing what to do with that information, problem solving.
Exactly. To be able to read facial expressions,
Okay.
to be able to interpret tone of voice, how someone is feeling.
Right,
That
right,
is all socially attending, and we have to practice it, and we do it. And when you're a kid, you do it all wrong, right?
right.
It's messy. It's
Yeah.
learning social is messy because
Yeah.
you're gonna annoy someone, you're gonna get someone upset with you, and then you're gonna figure it out based on their reaction. So when we think
Mm,
about it, so we interpret, then we problem solve, which isn't, oh, I'm having a fight. Problem solving is, do I say hello? Is it my turn to talk? You
right.
know, how do I respond right now? And then we learn and we develop these skills over time and we get better at it through
Yeah.
practice. And you
Mm,
have to practice, and it involves the eyes observing the world around you. And if our eyes are looking at screens, we are not observing the world around us. And then we're not socially attending and we're not practicing those skills to get better at them.
oh, it's
And
just
it just,
cyclical. Yeah.
yeah,
And so then you
yeah.
get kids with behavioral problems older age, right?
Hmm.
And or I remember after COVID, teachers saying like, I have eighth grade students with eighth grade bodies and sixth grade social skills. And I think
Oh,
it's
completely. Right.
worsened now.
It is. We have like we have 5 and 6-year-olds going off to kindergarten taking tantrums like a 2 or a 3-year-old. So they're not able to manage their emotions. They're not able to recognize they're a part of a group, what's expected or unexpected because they haven't practiced it and they haven't had those real world situations. They
Wow.
need more of it to develop it. And
Wow.
these SEL programs are going to come in and say, "Hey, here's my, digital SEL program to teach kids social skills." And it's like, that's not how it works.
Right. If it says digital and SEL in the same sentence, it's not going to be good for children.
No, don't do it. Don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jared, he talks about empathy for teaching. Empathy is when two brains are interacting, like this scene here,
Yeah.
and the oxytocin. I always want to say OxyContin, but that's not the right
That's
oxytocin.
the fake one. Right.
The chemicals released, it's a feel-good chemical, and that's where empathy comes from. And that's such a huge part of teaching, and it's a huge part of learning. And guess what? We need our eyes. Our eyes are such a huge part of that for us to be
Mhm.
engaging with other people.
Ugh, this is
Yep.
so interesting. I mean, like I remember Jared saying once too, like when you're in graduate school and they introduce technology, like if you're going to school to be a teacher and there's a section on technology and education, and he says it should be a pretty short class because it's never going to benefit children. And
Right.
it's just so obvious. If your eyes and social attention are not being, if that's it.
If it's,
And what
yeah,
does the
that's it.
screen do? It just does this. So
Yeah.
that's it. That's you're
It's
done.
it's your eyes are looking elsewhere, you're not attending.
And it's not even just like they're not attending because their nose is in a book. They're,
No,
like you
it's
said, by design, manipulative,
right.
persuasively, yeah, hook and hold our
Yeah.
attention. So,
And it's designed to keep us there looking at the screen
right.
versus the world around us. Like Richard Fried has that his book Better Than Real Life.
Yep.
He talks all about that persuasive design. So it's the
Yes. Yes.
persuasive design of the tool that is keeping us on the tool. Yeah, books don't have the persuasive design, you
Well, the
know.
irony of school administrators saying, well, this is the kids need to learn how to operate in the world because so much of our life is digital is actually this proves why that is absolutely contra they will not be able to function in the world if they have
Right,
screens. So take
right.
this picture, back to your schools here.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then too, I think it's Jonathan Haidt again who was talking about iPad babies too.
Yeah,
The iPad babies now are coming into the school, and we're seeing the results of it. That we're
right.
seeing the results. And again, I don't want to shame parents because I feel like the organizations aren't doing a good enough job, like really talking about the harms because the tech industry has infiltrated so many organizations, and
Yeah.
they have so much money. It's like,
Yeah, they can influence what messaging goes out, right? And then
yeah.
those iPad babies show up in kindergarten and are given another iPad.
I know. Ah, I know. I
Um,
know. It's like, ugh.
yeah.
So yeah, here we've been talking about this. So children need to learn about others by being with others, right? Not watching it on a screen, not tapping. They need to learn that turn taking, negotiating, eye contact, perspective taking, tone of voice, how to be part of a group. When is okay to like do my own thing, but when I need to do what everyone else is doing because I'm part of a group.
Mm.
And like another thing I feel like too, these screens in schools with this personalized learning totally is breeding like this narcissistic thought, like it's all about me instead of all about the group. And there's something about learning as a group, as a whole,
It's
learning together.
democracy. Like it's not an individualocracy. I mean, I guess we know what
Yeah,
happens when that goes that way. Yeah,
right.
wow. Well,
Right. And so we need an infinite number of opportunities to practice. And so free play too is a huge part of this as well. I mean, and this is a societal thing, it's really kids don't have that opportunity to like go out in their neighborhood and just go out and
yeah,
play.
yeah.
And everything is so structured. Even like a lot of preschools, they feel like they have to do a curriculum because they need to get the students ready for kindergarten. And the
Right,
curriculum isn't developmentally appropriate, what they expect kindergartners to do.
right, right.
And they're trading out some of those, pretend play areas for computer areas.
The best preparation for kindergarten is the play. Yeah.
Right.
Oh
Right. So
gosh.
there's
Mm.
a writer on Substack, Kevin Steinhardt is his name. He has this like play deprivation delay theory, and he kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
he writes about, we're depriving kids of play, and also Peter Gray, play makes us human. Like, what did we think would happen if we denied play to animals? Like they're going to be stressed out.
And
They're
it's
gonna.
it's so funny because it's almost like for adults, we see play as like a privilege or a treat. Like we get to go have
Hmm.
fun on the weekends, and therefore we have
Right.
to earn it. And so we
Hmm.
apply that same adult thinking to like how children should experience the world when in fact play is learning.
Is learning, yeah, and it's their work.
Oh,
Yeah, and there's more research coming out too that teachers are saying, finding that educators are noticing kids aren't making eye contact as compared
that's
to
it.
like
That's
10
the
years ago.
your previous slide,
Yeah,
attention. It's
your
so
attention. So they're
interesting.
not making eye contact, they're not looking, they're not noticing what's happening with the face, where all that, like our eyes are the window to the soul, right? Like that's what we use when we're communicating.
Oh my God. I have a funny story about turn taking very briefly. My daughter, when she was 4, was fighting over a slide, like a little play slide with her cousin who was a year younger. And my mom was there and she goes, "You need to take turns." And my daughter looked at her and she goes, "I am taking turns. I'm taking hers."
Oh, that's a perfect answer.
But again, like I actually think it's pretty fascinating. A, they were attention, right? They were being
Yes,
like there was
yeah.
my mom was noticing, and also my own child was listening to the words and interpreting her understanding of that word verb to
And
take.
knew the other girl wanted a turn, but she's going to take the turn. It's her turn.
So amazing. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
loved that.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and free play and boredom, they are the necessary ingredients for imagination skills and social skills. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like we've taken away some of these, like, these housekeeping areas, block areas, all those pretend play areas in school, and we put tables, and we're now like computers and headphones, and you walk by and like, you see kindergartners with headphones on staring at a computer screen. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
It's so heartbreaking.
Right. And these skills too, not only are they play or their work for kids, they're foundations for our later relationships that we have. So shared imagination, which is something like We
Mm,
have our thoughts and we're combining our thoughts together. So we might be in a pet store and I'm going to be the customer. I'm going to be the mommy who's coming in with my dog and going to buy something, and the other person's going to be the worker.
mm,
We're combining our thoughts and we're imagining and we're pretending and we're play. This is conversation later. This is conversation for kids,
yeah.
or imagination, shared imagination for
Uh,
kids is conversations for adults. So, like you and I sitting here talking and having this conversation, we're sharing our thoughts. We're both
yeah.
imagining what we're talking about.
And
And
that's
so
like
that's,
they go from that parallel play, right? When they're like two and three, like
yep.
next to each other, side by side. And then is it
And
what?
noticing and watching,
But
right?
then like is it 5 years old that
Yeah, it really kind of kicks
collaborative
in.
play kicks in? Right.
Yeah.
And again, back to like perspective taking and empathy and turn taking and
Yep.
perspective, like just how important this
It's,
is.
yeah. And how they need to be observing. So I have confession. That's my son and my daughter on the deck in the back. And so
Oh,
that is from, we would go away to Vermont and we would always get breakfast at the bed and breakfast on this front porch. And when we came back, we wanted to eat outside. And so this whole scene was they created menus. I was the waitress. I would go and
yeah.
take their order, and then I would, so they were playing, eating
Right.
out,
Right.
in the back deck.
Right. And going
And
back to why we don't give an iPad is like, here's an example of them. They're practicing eating out at a restaurant. You can teach
right,
these skills at home about
right.
the restaurant role, your role playing for that. Yeah,
Right.
that's a great picture.
So we need an infinite amount of time to practice these skills, and
Yeah.
we're denying kids the opportunity, and then they're spending the other times on a screen, and it's just not a good combination for social skills and shared imagination, the democracy thing,
Yeah.
Emily, there, like for us to have conversation skills. I mean, that's what you need for a healthy democracy, right?
100%. Yeah.
And so yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, so you think about like social media and how that's like fostered this like narcissistic type of tendency. And it's not conversation, it's just one-sided, because when you're having an actual conversation with someone, again, you have empathy because you're seeing facial expressions, tone of voice.
Mm,
You're gonna match what you say, or you might change what you say based on how someone's responding to you. But people are not practicing that skill. So what happens is we're seeing what people do online is what they're starting to do in person. I don't know if you've noticed that, but like I look at some of our leaders or just how people talk these days, and everyone's just saying their thoughts. They're not
yeah.
combining them and sharing them.
Yeah, just shouting. We're used to the one directionality and responding when we want on our time. Yeah,
Right.
I mean, there's a reason that when I was sort of what do I say I do in one sentence, it's fighting for education, childhood education and democracy, because the through line is there. That's like what we're
Hmm.
talking about here. I mean, quite literally have 5-year-olds who cannot play restaurant and learn
Right.
to navigate, they are not going to then become informed voting citizens
Right.
who think critically about mis and disinformation.
Right, right. And that's why I get so frustrated with these digital literacy programs or AI literacy programs,
Yeah.
because they're expecting kids to make judgments and do things that they actually need to learn to practice free from screens, so that when
Yeah.
they develop those skills and they see it, then they can make those decisions about what's real and what's not real.
I'm
But
so glad we need to reiterate that because that
yeah,
to me is so important. Like it is the technology education, not ed tech, right? Tech ed
right.
is not ed tech. Just like we don't teach high school students about drugs and alcohol by giving them drugs and alcohol. We don't teach
Right.
AI literacy by giving children AI, right? Or to,
Right.
even a
Or
digital tool on which
right.
to learn about it.
These are kids that believe in Santa Claus.
Yeah,
Why is a 5 or 6 year old going to be able to judge that what they're
exactly.
seeing or hearing is real or not?
Oh my
Right?
gosh. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
unrealistic.
Yeah.
And then they present it in ways where it's like they're smiling, looking at a screen. I'm like, I can't even. So I tried to have some conversations with people on LinkedIn about that, and I was like, I can't, because
Yeah. Well,
it's
if you
not a
go to their
conversation.
page, they probably benefit from kids being on them. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So anyway, I stopped because it's not a conversation. It's just and it's
That's a really
not
good
healthy.
Exactly.
And so here we were talking about the emotional piece, right? So kids are not learning how to emotionally regulate themselves when they're using a screen. And actually the screens are making it worse for them. So it's creating sense of frustration, anxiety. It makes them, it's affecting their mood, it affects their sleep, and they feel lonely. Like just like adults feel lonely on their phone, kids feel that loneliness too.
I'm wondering if you can talk because another ally of ours was talking about how when she substitute taught in high school class that one of her students was so angered and frustrated by the program on his school computer
Oh,
that
yep.
he, was physically threatening to, be violent to the
Hmm.
whoever made the founder of the program. I mean, sure, kids can be dramatic and overreact, but like that's worrisome for a variety of reasons. But like you have experienced this with some of your students, like the
Yeah.
frustration that comes. I mean, that's the irony is we are giving these kids screens that stunts their social emotional self-regulation in the name of education.
Right. And then when the persuasive design of whatever website or whatever game or whatever it might be that they want to go look at that they have access to, regardless of the blockers that we put, kids are able to get around them. Then we get mad at them.
Right.
And so then we're getting mad at them for doing something that's designed to rob their attention, right? And so in our brains too,
Mm.
we know that adults like our once we hit friction, once something gets hard, if we can divert our attention to something that's easier, we're going to. And if it's
Yeah.
right there on our screen because we have the internet, like we're not, it's going to be harder to work through things. And then we're going to get mad at the kid because they're doing something that, they don't have the executive functions. Hell, adults don't have the executive
Yeah.
functioning skills. How many meetings have I sat in where and myself included, because like, oh, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Oh, it's the weather. I'm not going to
Yeah.
look at the weather
Yeah.
because I'm not a part of the conversation right now, whatever it might be. Like,
Exactly.
and we're expecting kids who don't have fully developed prefrontal
Right.
cortex. All of that is not all developed, and then we're getting mad at them, and so then their frustration too, and then they don't have the emotional ability to regulate,
Right.
and they're on the devices too, so that's amping up how they're feeling,
Right.
and then we're testing them constantly. It's just ugh, it's
Uh,
disturbing.
uh,
It's
yeah.
like child abuse. Like I feel like sometimes I walk through the schools and I'm like, we're abusing kids. Feels that way. And then
Yeah.
then they come to school, and these
Yeah.
kids, yeah, this is like a regular kindergarten classroom that's destroyed because, kids, we have 5 and 6 year olds coming into school and they're behaving like 2 and 3 year olds when they have their big outbursts and they're having big tantrums. And, this isn't just, something that I'm hearing through people because I talk about it. These are surveys of teachers saying the behavior issues for younger kids is really challenging. They don't know how to follow a group plan. We have all these me thinkers, and
Right.
using a term from the social thinking thing is we're me thinker or are we going to think about the group? And they're so used to just thinking about their own needs and their own thoughts, and because they haven't developed those skills as developed as they need to be. And then we put them into a classroom and we deny them play and we're like
And then we're
surprised that
surprised.
they're
Yeah.
they're acting out. You know, it's just it's
It does feel like abuse. I mean, to set them up for failure like this and then get
yeah,
mad at them for,
right, right. Yeah.
my God.
And we know too that more pro-social skills that someone has, the better mental health they're going to have. Those go hand in hand. And the more social connected you feel, the better your psychological health is going to be. And
Mm.
like this chart right here, this comes from Zach Roush sent this, and he sent this out to our group, the Screens in Schools group, before the book came out. So this is when they had After Babel, and I was following their work. And
Mm.
this is when I was looking at it, and I was like, oh, and I was doing my research into ed tech, and I was like, hey, but wait, 2012, they say 2012 is the year things started to spike. And I was like,
Yeah, look at
something else
that.
was going on in 2012. It was the ed tech movement, that's when it began.
Right.
And I always felt like if kids felt more connected and had more real relationships in school and were better grounded in their personal relationships in real life, that social media wouldn't have as much of an impact on them.
Right. It's a really
Because,
good point.
and so, now we're taking their 6.5 hours of the day and we're putting them on screens starting in kindergarten.
Yeah, it's both and. I mean,
Yeah,
it was bad enough that we did the smartphone social media, but if
right.
kids would at least had been protected in the school environment for
They would
social
be
media,
less susceptible
maybe
to
it would
the,
be right.
yeah, yeah.
Oof.
So, ugh. I just think it would give kids a better chance against it.
Yes.
But they're all bad. They're both
Yeah.
bad. But in
Right.
combination, social media and then in combination of what's happening in school. And then yeah, you're gonna see a lot of
Yeah.
mental health issues.
Mm.
Um, and so, yep,
What
so
you just said.
screens in schools, here it is. It's like the individual learning, personalized learning. We're just, you're not learning together, right?
Mm.
There's so much about learning something together, the back and forth, someone asking a question, someone go, no, I had that question, but I didn't want to ask it, but now I know it. Someone else. And then that's in how you create a community, right?
Yeah.
Creating a community is not everyone coming in and open up their Chromebook and looking at a screen. And I don't want to say this is like fault of the teachers because this is
Right.
not the teachers' faults.
Right. No,
This
they
is
had
this is a
to.
top down. This has been thrust upon them. So many teachers know that it's harmful, but they have to because they're required to use these devices.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah. Rock in a hard place.
yeah. And then another thing too, like these soft social skills, they call them soft because they're not easily measured. It's not like your cognitive skills that you can measure. You can't really measure these skills. At least they haven't figured out a way yet. Although with AI, I'm sure they're trying to work on AI as a
Yeah.
tool. Kidding. I'm like, that's sarcasm there.
No, no, I
Um,
got
that's a whole other thing. But they are critical in our academic skill. They're rooted in our academic success. Having those skills are necessary for academic success.
right.
So, um, for example, like this is a common core standard here in Rhode Island for ELA for fifth grade, that students will prepare for and participate effectively in a range of conversations,
Ah,
right? And collaborations with diverse partners, building their on others' ideas, thoughts, and
perspective
expressing
taking.
their own, right?
Yeah.
That's being able to interact. So if you don't have strong social thinking when you can interact with other people, have a
Right.
conversation, it can impact performance. And so we have seen a decline in reading and math. Um, I will argue too, I believe screens are impeding kids' ability to visualize what they're reading. So they are so used to seeing visuals like their characters or a picture or an image for whatever it is they're
Yeah.
watching. So that own skill is not developing as
Hmm.
strong, and that's what you need for reading comprehension.
Wow. I wonder what your thoughts are on graphic novels because
So I think graphic novels have a place. I think it's
okay.
good because when there is a picture, it can help. But it'd be great for it to not be the only type of
Right. It's
literature
like,
that a child's reading.
yeah, and of course, I think both you and I would agree we'd rather see a novel in a child's hand than an iPad any
Oh,
day. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
But
And there are
yeah,
no, and there are some kids who legitimately struggle reading and struggle doing that. So that helps them create that picture and helps them make sense of what they're reading.
or get
So that's
excited about reading because it's not such a, like, it's that balance of you don't want to be so frustrating and hard and discouraging that they hate
right,
reading. Yeah,
right.
it's an interesting, I mean, again,
It
like if we're going
is.
to pick a fight, it's not graphic novels that we should be
No,
talking
no.
about. Yeah.
No. And then, yeah. So, yeah, it
Mm,
impacts that reading with that visualizing. And you have to be able to take someone else's perspective or be able to, feel that. So when you're reading, so you can understand the voice of the character, right? So you get into character and you can understand different roles of people in the story, that
yeah.
different perspectives.
I used to read out loud to my students all the time. I taught seventh grade English, and one of my favorite books to read out loud was Of Mice and Men, which is one of the
Oh, yeah.
saddest books. And you
Oh,
have to
it's,
be, and Lenny is
yep.
developmentally delayed, and I know you have to be very thoughtful about how you read that voice. And so I thought a
Yeah.
lot about like, well, he has this childlike innocence, and
I'm gonna love him and hug him and call him
yeah.
George.
And we
Yeah.
had the theater director came in one day as a guest and he's like, "Well, I'll read part of the book out loud." And and he did it differently than I did it. And after my students were like, we like the way you did it. But again, it offered them a way again of hearing it in a different way. And it is so different than when you're reading it on the page too. Like, yeah,
Right.
I loved reading out loud. I never felt like it was a waste of time. It was such a
No, it's so
beautiful thing.
important for that, hearing a character's voice and hearing,
And the
putting it
opportunity to
together.
talk as we read as a group, right? Like you were just saying,
Right.
like, it's a collaborative
Right.
learning
And like
experience.
notice, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that just happened in the story. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. Or did you predict this? Or somebody was saying, well,
Right.
I didn't know what that word meant, but three other kids also didn't know what that word meant, Yeah,
Right.
I know.
Yeah. And so you're learning as a group,
Yeah,
right?
right.
And
Which
it's
is,
and
yeah, yeah. Go. No, keep going, keep going.
well, being able to visualize too. It's why when you read a really good book and then they turn it into a movie and you go and you watch the movie and you're like, oh
Yeah,
God, they did a horrible job. Or my
yeah,
character was way cuter in my head.
yeah, exactly.
So, you know,
Exactly.
but you need to have those that reading comprehension, it relies on that, being able to do
Yeah,
that perspective of the character. So yeah,
yeah.
here's a sample Common Core, analyzing how and why events and ideas develop and interact over a course of a text, which is being able to take perspective, which we need to be able to do in real life.
And kids have to be taught how to do that.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And they need to practice it. They need to practice, and they need to practice it in real life with real people
yeah,
multiple times, like an infinite amount of time. And
yeah,
then again, written expression as well requires you to recognize that someone else is going to read your work and
yes.
to understand your thoughts, right? Who's your audience?
Right, right, right. As opposed to typing it. I mean, I was shocked when my university students told me that because I would give them handwritten feedback. I'd print their paper and hand
Yeah.
it back. And they told me it was the first time they'd received handwritten feedback on a paper.
Isn't
And
it like,
I couldn't believe that. I have stacks of these papers of mine and they're
yeah,
personal. It's intimate.
it is. It's a connection. Like I
Yeah,
think back too to my favorite English teacher in high school, Mr. Pereira, when he would read my stuff and he would make a note, and if it was a good note, I'd be like, it
yeah.
felt so good because I knew he
You
was
earned it.
thinking about my work when he
Yeah.
wrote that, and
Yes.
it felt good. And then
Yeah.
I wanted to perform for him because it was
Right.
connected. I
Right.
wanted
You
him
didn't
to
want to
think,
read a text box on a Google Doc that was like
ah,
great sentence. Like,
yeah.
oh.
Ugh, I know. Like and as you're learning and growing and we know like you want to do better for people that you connect with,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
if we're putting barriers into that human aspect and that human connection, the engagement stuff that comes out, how kids are not engaged and how to get them more engaged. And it's like take the freaking computers away, all
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Let them make connections with their peers and their teachers so that they really connect and that, they can't just space out or open up a computer or a laptop,
Right.
whatever. And anyway,
Right. No.
talk about argument essays too. Argument essays, you have to persuade someone, right? That's
Yes.
like
Right. A
huge.
skill.
That's
Yeah.
a skill that's got to be able to persuade.
Mm.
So, anyway, so what can we do? Because we do. So I gotta move my screen over. So we do the best can until you know better. And then when you know better, do better, right? So that's why it's important. And I'm gonna have to say, so we started with that, Gen X reference to Breakfast Club. And I feel like the Gen Xers, we are the ones who truly had a childhood without screens and we developed and we know what life is like before then. I feel like it's our job
Yeah.
because
Keepers.
these next generations are gonna be taking care of us when we're old and feeble. And we need to share what we know and let other people know how harmful and how better it is to have those connections in real life. So, not to shame people again, but just to educate and to share. So if we could just all share it with people in our circles, and then it's, like the little fish, it
Yeah.
spreads.
Yeah.
So just separate from the phones and the screens, use real stuff,
Yeah.
and creating that
Yeah.
distance from the device and the child, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And just because it has ed in front of it, it doesn't mean that it is. It's
Oh, that
a
just, I
really
know.
important one. Yeah.
There is, there's no definition of what makes something educational for technology, right? It's
Yeah, and
just
what Jared says, you're always going to learn something. I mean, you
something,
might
right? So,
learn how to play the math game faster or get more points in the whatever. But like,
or click a button.
and again, even if that were quantifiable knowledge that mattered, like even if it were math facts, like and some math facts we do need to practice like that.
Hmm.
What your whole point is what we lose by all the other stuff that's being missed out on. It's like you could
Right.
also learn those math facts on a paper or with a book or with a partner or with manipulatives. It
Right.
doesn't take away that social learning element.
Right.
That I think is really the theme tonight that has, it's like I know a lot of this, but it's just like to see it and hear it again is so valuable. So thank you, Denise. This is really,
Oh, thank you
really
for
wonderful. Well, I'm
this is my
wondering if
little
oh yeah,
last slide
I love
perspective
this.
taking.
I
I
love
always
this. I'm wondering if I'm going to try and open up Q&A, or I don't know if I can do that from within a live webinar, but maybe at least in the chat if people want to ask questions. Let's see, I don't even know how to change it, the setting in it. But yeah, if there are any questions for Denise or me, to go ahead and I guess I'm hoping you can put it in the chat. I don't think I turned it off. Oh, great. Do you see that
Oh,
one? Yeah.
yes.
Oh, great,
Okay.
great.
All right.
I'll
So I
get the
have some
toolkit. Yes, you get the
some
books.
books. Yes, let's see. All right, Digital Delusion. Great book. If you want to learn how screens impact learning and you want a tool to bring to like administrators to show them, this is a great book.
Yeah.
Better Than Real Life will teach you all about the persuasive design. Oh wait, whose book is this? Whose
Also,
book?
that'd
Screen.
be my book.
Emily's book. Um,
Mike's book. This is
oh yes,
Executive
the executive
Function
function.
Playbook. This is
Yep.
specifically for ADHD. It's amazing. If you read any
Reset
book,
your child's brain.
Victoria Dunkley. You
Yes.
Stolen Focus. This is another good one by Johann Oh, I'm gonna stack books all over my head. Um,
Yeah.
and
Um,
the toolkit, I'm popping the link in. That is my Unplug EdTech toolkit, which will help kind of walk through the process of saying no thank you to the school computers and iPads.
right.
And also, I have a bunch of resources at firstfish.substack.com. I'll pop that link in. And Denise
Yeah.
has a bunch of those resources as well. Um, Great. Let's see. Are you seeing these? Oh, I don't
Yes.
see
So,
them.
so they're using more graphic novels. I know they're not reading.
Okay, people aren't
I
seeing them.
know. It's
Sorry.
the
Oh,
attention span. So I'm sorry, I'm reading the comment
read
about the
it out loud because
sophomores.
I don't think they can actually see when we're posting stuff.
Oh,
So
okay. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the the comment about Frankenstein and the graphic novel. And yeah, so there, I was like reading something and it was a college professor at a like Ivy League school who has to cut back like 30% of the reading because kids don't have the stamina. And so just like reading, you have to build your reading stamina because kids aren't
yeah.
given books anymore. They're using, I guess why would we expect kids to be able to read books if we don't encourage them to use books?
I mean, here my daughter's in eighth grade and they are assigned one text this whole
Yeah.
year. One, and it's a sixth
Yeah.
grade reading level. It's The
Yeah.
Outsiders, which is a great book. I used to teach it. It's not an eighth grade text. It's much less complex. And
Right.
the argument is that they will self-select independent reading books on their own. And, she will. She'll read the sort
Yeah.
of teen romance novels, and that's what she likes for entertainment and pleasure reading, and that's fine with me. She's not going to self-select Animal Farm and To Kill a Mockingbird, which
No.
she should be
No.
reading in this.
Right.
Yeah. So this is a problem too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone is saying they can't see the links. So my website is the
Oh,
screentimeconsultant.com, and we can you can look at
yeah.
under the
That's right, because you're posting the
tools
links
there.
only you and I can see it, the
Oh
chat.
my gosh, sorry guys. Yeah, well, I'm really good at the tech here.
All right.
Oh, hi
Oh,
Richard.
Richard, hello.
Let's see. Why don't we read these out loud since not everyone can see them?
Okay.
Are there science-based educational materials, vendors, sellers to schools that could be viewed as better for schools to use, something like green or science-based label that would sell products that are consistent with what you present here? Oh, that's a
Ooh,
good question.
that
Well,
is.
sure, there's lots of industry vetted or industry funded certifications and safety standards and
Mm-hmm.
privacy seals, and
Yep.
most of them are not. Um, I'm actually working on a tech intentional school certification, which would be
Oh,
about the entire school model being what I call tech intentional. But in terms of
I don't know
curriculum,
of any, but I like that green. I think we should get like, I don't know,
it's very,
organization.
very few. Well, civics of technology is one, and kids' brains and
What the Internet Safety Labs, they're looking at, so
internet safety labs is great.
they're creating like
In this,
oh yeah, the brain was kids' brains and screens. Yeah,
yeah,
that's another
they're
good one.
independent too.
Yeah. But the Internet Safety Labs is coming up with it's almost like when you look at the back of a wrapper of like a food label,
Ingredients label. Yes,
ingredients label, yes. So they're creating that for like apps. So you can
yes,
see how much your privacy you don't have and all
yes.
the bad stuff. So they're working on that, which would be
Yeah,
cool.
that's a great
Um,
question. Um,
Something we should work, Bridget. Maybe we should work on
yeah, a
that.
vendor to schools that wouldn't first push screens is always the answer. And actually, Vermont was trying, remember the Vermont has proposed a what was it called? Like a bank, like an ed tech, like you
Mhm.
had to go through a state approval process before you could even be vetted to go into the school. So again, just
Right.
putting a barrier in there. This
Right.
question
And
here didn't, oh, go ahead.
oh, no, I was just about to say, like, and vendors to that first push screens, but unfortunately, our education system is captured because
Yeah,
they are using high quality curriculum material, which is often, labeled as such by organizations that are captured by tech or started by the tech
right.
industry.
Right. And Denise
So
and
that
I write
have.
about some of this. We have a shared Substack series called The Reckoning that we write about these on our Substacks.
Mhm.
So this is a Denise question for sure. How can we work to get state testing back on paper? That's the argument we
Oh,
keep being given that kids need familiarity with their passwords and devices to test better because they don't offer
yep.
paper tests in our state.
Oh, it's so frustrating. So I know that in my state, at least, if you have an IEP and the child needs it, they can get a paper copy of a state test. I don't know about Minnesota. I'm in Rhode Island.
Okay.
Um, but so, and it's interesting because Jared talks about that. And he talks about how you really only need like a couple of 20-minute sessions to teach kids how to use the tools, and
Yeah.
that you'll always perform better on a paper version versus the computer version.
Right.
So, how do we get states back to state testing? So, I'm really afraid of what's happening behind the scenes with that as well.
Mhm.
The industry that's creating these state testing have their hands in the tech, or the tech has their hands in them. So, the way that we're doing it could be changing as well. So, I don't know.
Right. And we don't want parents to have to chase IEPs and 504s to get
Right,
accommodations because it's wrong for all kids to be taking it digitally. And
right.
like my son is a senior in high school in his ninth day of kindergarten. So this was 12 years ago, came home with a piece of paper that said I had to teach him Control Alt Delete and underscore so he could log into the computer for the test. And I was like, underscore? What 5-year-old needs to learn underscore? Like he can't even
Right,
write his name. Like
right.
this doesn't make any
Priorities.
sense.
Right,
Exactly. I think,
right,
I mean, again, it does vary state to state. I'm at a point of like mass refusal to take the test. I mean, I don't
right.
know how else to,
I don't know, because so much of the funding for the schools is
I know.
dependent on the performance of the test. It's just so enmeshed,
But the
right?
irony is they'd actually do better, which would help funding if they took the
Right,
test on paper.
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Jared's book, as we keep mentioning him, Digital
Yeah,
Delusion, does talk a fair bit about, test scores and what's happened. So
right.
that's at least a good resource. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
keep harassing the Department of Education in your state. So send
Yeah.
them information and try, I guess, legislation.
Yeah.
Um,
Right.
yeah,
Asking for at least a paper-based option. I mean, you're going to get
right.
pushback too about costs, right? The argument is it's cheaper, but it isn't. I mean, then we're also looking at AI and then we're looking at personalized learning and personalizing,
Right.
what's it called? Like not individualized, where the
Yeah,
tests modulate
yeah,
depending on it's bad. It's really
it
bad.
is.
So,
Yeah.
and again, there is a place for technology in education. Again, I think Denise and I are pretty much on the same page with technology
Hmm.
education is not educational technology, and
Right.
to continue to ask these questions because it isn't. It isn't, if we're going to fight for phone-free schools and phone-free childhoods and play-based childhoods, why would we hand over all of these products to children in the name of education? They're the same thing.
Right. Well, they're taking away like iPad, not iPads. What is it? The Microsoft. No, I'm sorry. The Apple laptop. The
iPad? No.
No, not
Oh,
iPad. The
Mac?
Apple laptop. MacBooks.
Mac.
Sorry. They were using them in the high school level, but they noticed that kids were just doing the same thing on their
Yeah, because
phone.
it was
Because if you have a MacBook
Apple
app, it's all
ID. Yeah,
connected,
yeah,
right? You can
yeah.
text and
And
everything.
there's another comment here too that's totally accurate. I think it's about
Yep.
streamlining for administrative purposes and not about learning.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a
100%.
totally true, but that doesn't make it okay. And that's where,
No.
again, like advocacy at the school board level, writing to your state legislators, running for office. I mean, anything, anywhere you
I know.
feel you can do it, right? It's
Right.
not everyone's going to run for office. That's
Right. And it's hard and it can seem completely overwhelming. So that's why if you can even start small, which talking to your classroom teacher, providing, teachers they do have a little bit of agency in the classroom, even if it
yeah,
is there and they're required to use it when they're not using it, put it away, put it off to the side, create that distance from the device because when the kids have them on their desk, they're so easy to just open it up and
yeah,
and when they're
it's
bored or they have a
accurate.
moment, yeah.
Exactly.
So think of all those
Oh,
times you don't need to use them.
no, that's a really good point. All right, Denise, I think we're just over an hour and it's late. And oh, one more question just came in. What alternatives do you suggest for schools and their, oh, yeah, student management systems to maintain data? Are there even any options that don't sell data? I mean,
Oh,
at this point, if it's a for-profit company, then they rely on data. I think, I mean, I'm happy to be stand corrected if someone has an alternative, but I think one of the big things here that doesn't get talked about, and this is a different topic, maybe next webinar, but like, where is the data stored? It's not so
hmm.
necessarily bad to collect it, but who has access to it and where is it stored? And so
And then
that's
for how long?
and for how long? So, like having an
Yeah.
annual data deletion day, for example, prevents against hacking, or only
Hmm.
storing it on a school server that no third party has access to, right? There are,
Right.
and those are technical solutions that I'm sure are possible, but there may not be profitable.
Right. So no one's working on that because, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay.
Oh, curricula that just offers textbooks still. So there is one, and I'm not a curricular expert by any means, but I did talk with Success for All is a curricula and it's used in this really poor community in Ohio, and it's more than just a reading program. It's a whole shift in thinking for a school community too. But when I spoke to the people who run that curriculum, it just seemed they do use a little bit of tech, but it's not tech dependent. It was like two kids looking at a screen and reading like flashcards. So basically, it was like a flashcard activity, is what I saw. And I'm sure there's more digital components, but at the heart of it, it is human interaction, connections, and reading. And they've had a lot of success with their reading levels. So, but it's not one that is approved by Ed Reports. So that's the problem. A lot of these bigger curriculum developers that are able to do the bells and whistles for Ed Reports to get the,
Mhm.
green light and approval for them are not the smaller ones that use more of a textbook.
Well, and two, I don't know. I'm in Seattle, and one of the challenges here is that the budgets, there are different budgets for different types of things. So all of the digital products and hardware and software and online curriculum stuff come out of a different budget than paper and books. And so
Hmm.
the paper books budget is teeny and
Oh,
always depleted
and shrinking. It's
and
shrinking.
shrinking. And so there's lots more money in the tech one. And so they just adopted a new ELA curriculum for K-5, and all the options presented were digital because
Ugh,
so sometimes it's also that the budgeting itself forces I
the
mean,
digital.
I would argue
And
you
then,
could still do it differently,
yeah,
but that's one of the challenges as well.
yeah,
And they know
yeah,
that the tech companies will say, well, by the way, you can put this into this budget because it's a tech-based product, right? Like, because
yeah.
it's this budget, not that budget. So
Because all those, yeah, and all those curriculum developers saw this coming along, and around 2015, they're
yeah,
like, "Ooh, yeah, let's make everything digital because that's the way it's going, and that's where the money is."
yeah. And I have to, I mean, I hope paper companies are like, getting ready to get some recycled paper and recreate some textbooks. I mean, again, we talk about it, people rag on the environmental part of it too, but
Yeah,
look, I mean, AI is million
Worse,
X
way worse.
worse than what paper damages the environment. So,
Yeah.
all right, Denise, we will send a follow-up. I'll send this out. I'll post the link on the Substack so you can share it with your friends and neighbors and teachers. This was wonderful, Denise. Thank you so much for your
Thank you for
time.
having me
Yes,
and sharing
and
your night.
oh yes, we will talk again soon. Have a great night, everyone.
Take
Thank
care. Bye.
you. Bye bye.